Welcome to my show. I'm so honored to have one of the amazing soulful professionals join us. Her name is Glendy Yeung, original from Hong Kong. She's an energy healer, particularly using the sound to help empaths and the sensitive souls. Because those people are really sometimes need some guidance about what is the noise all about them because they are super sensitive. It's my honor and my pleasure to introduce my guest.
Thank you so much for having me. Lovely to speak about journeys, our life journeys, and the lens of gene keys and human design.
You're in the neuroscience field before you're doing what you're doing now. And it definitely is a big jump. So I would like to learn about your stories, how you navigated through very scientific background and become very sensitive soul.
When you look back on your life, you kind of finally see patterns or phases in your life. Growing up, actually, I'm a very sci-fi girl, and I didn't realize that even since 6 years old, I actually speak the language of New World Order and the language of ancient aliens. An uncle, which is a Chinese scholar, actually wrote a book about the Mayan ancient astronauts, and I was mesmerized as a kid. Growing up, I studied a lot of science field, and naturally drawn to me was neuroscience, studying of the brain, and primarily the development and the aging phases, all the drastic changes that happens in the extremes ends of it. What brought me through science, through going through the scientific methods, but going from studying the organic brain eventually led me to work in the digital brain in cybersecurity and computer. So I actually have a career after doing a science, a very logical, protocols, masculine, and dive into corporate cybersecurity, serving Fortune 100 companies as a consultant for many big firms for many, many years at executive level. What sustained me during this time on the underneath, it's actually the Eastern practices that kind of seeping in since I was a child as well. Growing up, I wasn't in a very religious family, though I grew up in Christian school, so I definitely have my plenty of exposure to Christianity. I have my exposure to Buddhism or some form of Buddhism that we thought of as Buddhism as practiced locally. It's more as culture, right? You know, what the grandmother does. My dad is also I wouldn't call him a Buddhist practitioner, but he's definitely studied Buddhism. And so while the American dream, the living in New York City, while I was as part of my career and climbing the corporate ladder, I recognized the need to like something different. I kind of happened to drop into the yoga world for many years. And the one thing lead to another. The yoga practice started out as just a moving meditation for me and quickly get into esoteric Tibetan Buddhism. Very deep in the meditations, the philosophy, the yoga philosophy. I had 3 teacher training. I had many years of esoteric Tibetan Buddhism studies with some of the teachers that was coming through and having groups in the New York City area. And eventually brought me this deep meditations and talk about like retreats, deep retreats, not just, having fun, which I've done, sightseeing and yoga, but also like solitary silent retreats for like 9 hours of meditations on your own with your own schedules a day for weeks on. So, and eventually that moved me into healing as meditation, brought me into energy work and energy healing. So from there, it's kind of like broadened up and with a lot of very different modalities of different types of energy healing, using flowers, using sound, using energy, using sacred geometry, using higher dimensional tools for both people and higher dimensional aspect, not just the physical, mental, emotional, but more the spiritual, energetic aspect, but also on working with the deeper aspect of what is really truly underneath, everywhere pretty much. So yeah, that's a little bit of my journey. And I love that sound being something a lot more accessible. And I knew about 8 years ago that sound's going to get really big. It's going to bigger than yoga. That's when I decided to leave corporate. I think I left corporate, 6 years ago? When I look at all the modality that I have studied, which actually to sustain me at the time, all of them happened to be energetic based. And I was like, that was interesting. Is that a coincidence?
Well, that is wonderful. I mean, I can definitely see you trust yourself in a way to navigate through all that, right? Because it's really the direction and also the decision making through our life. Sometimes we just maybe we are following our parents or in the society want us to do, but sometimes we know it just doesn't feel right. And plus your grow up experience, that is amazing because that give you to see different aspect of energy
Yeah.
and also the concept about our human body. Based on what I see your human design chart and this whole genetic profile, you are exactly doing what you're doing
Mm,
based on your energetic imprinting. You are the first ones I learned about so-called self-projected. That's your
mm,
inner authority. So based on human design, we have inner authority. They are part of our body. Then the outer authority is our mind. That's how we can see something, we can share what we saw with people. But it's never to be the decision making for ourselves. Because our mind, you know that is not necessarily natural, authentic. Is usually being programmed and
mm.
also become filtered, right?
Yeah.
And also your projector. Projector usually is looking others other than looking inside. So from younger age, usually projector will usually project that out. But when you get mature and also more confidence, that self-projected taking over. So you are actually living your own truth.
Oh.
Other than sometimes we are just most of us use our mind, but the self-projected person, when they are more mature and they have this confidence, they just know who they are and what they need to do. Your clients, particularly they are empaths, they're sensitive souls. They might have different programming.
Mhm.
And I'm just curious about how you lead them to be energetically unshakable. I really love that language. I wonder you want to share how you support your client to go through their journey.
Yeah. And I think one thing that as go along as an entrepreneur, as well as from a spiritual entrepreneur standpoint, I recognizing more and more that people who come to us, each of us has a very specific purpose and contract. There's almost like probably magnetism to come in, right? There's something very specific that what I have experienced and what I can actually help activate within them. And a lot of my clients, I'm seeing certain patterns, and I think that's very common for a lot of wellness professionals, healers, coaches, the type of people that find them. It's almost like, wait a minute, why is it so uncanny that who shows up at your door needing your help, right? So it's fascinating for me to connect with empaths and sensitive soul and help them demystify what's going on, because a lot of them going beyond the empath labels, and the reason I'm just using the empath, so sensitive soul and introvert, because there's probably a bigger numbers of folks that identify that way. But going beyond that layer of human labelings is that they have they have access to a deeper energetic reality that is not common in the everyday how we live. And it is only a certain breed of people that are having the wherewithal to recognize, wait a minute, they're able to pick up enough patterns enough among themselves and among their relationships that they're ready to step into a deeper knowing, and things just doesn't happen randomly. That, if they interact with people, places, objects a certain way, then they would have certain feelings, like, or a lot of times, like, going to a supermarket could be a big to do. Even attending a Zoom call or group meditation can be like very, very disorienting. So for those who have the awareness,
Mm.
and given life, it's a lot for most of us, very demanding, the modern life. And for those who are kind of at that threshold to be able to, filter through the noise of what's around, and ready to wait to really examine and fine tune, so that actually they can pick up, be ready for the next level of human evolutions that are coming. The more there, a lot of people, because of what's going on, a much bigger story on the So galactic cosmic
Mhm.
history happenings, a lot of people are waking up. A lot of people are discovering their sensitivity, their access to what is commonly think of as psychic powers, right? And with powers come responsibility, right? So we are kind of getting into an age where the energetic health it needs to be a
Mhm.
very forefront, and how we manage energy within ourselves and how we manage energy interacting with others. It's going to come into play
That's right.
in a bigger harmony
Mhm.
of our interactions and our work life, home life, and beyond.
I'm totally 100% agree everything you said. Because really think about energy is invisible, untouchable, and it cannot really managing. They're just there. Most of people, if they already sensitive, just like you said, they might labeling is something they don't want it and then they don't know how to deal with it. They're
Yeah.
overwhelmed with that chaotic energy flow.
Mhm.
And I think that's how the people become more looking for
Yeah.
tools, right? How to understand your own energy flow, your authentic energy profile,
Mhm.
other than try to compare to, oh, she didn't even feel it, so it must be wrong with me. Or someone can do certain thing, but when I do it, it's not right. Or I'm happy, but next moment I feel sad. So what's wrong with me? Right? There's all the doubts
Yeah.
coming into their awareness. The best way is to learn how to ride with the wave. Who can get away the energy when energy want to come through? The only way is learn the skills, right? How
Mhm.
to live with the wave.
Yeah.
Then it just be patient because they come in and going. At least this is my experience. You have a two energy center defined. We have a nine different energy center in the human design charts, and you only got two. That means you got all the genius in all other sevens. When they are open, that means we experience other people's experience.
Mm.
So they train us to be open minded because this coming and going. So you're not attached to them.
Mhm.
That's your genius coming through for your life experience because you can feel people's fear. You can, kind of relate to their emotion. You might cry. You don't have any reason why you cry, or something coming through your head and say, "Oh, to do this." Then later on, find out that's just not my things I need to do. But they train you to be very open, so then you can relate to anybody come to get help because you can merge their energy profile into your awareness. Then you can provide a better kind of relatable solutions for them. So I'm just happy you decided to do this amazing work other than working the corporate America.
Funny actually, for I forgot since when, maybe my late 20s or early 30s, and it was very clear through several readings that I had that, like, that is how whatever pinnacles that I have
Mhm.
get into corporate world, that's not my real career. And my real career is it's starting like later in life, and I've been searching, and for a while I was thinking, oh, is it a wellness center, is it a yoga, is it
Mhm.
ties into yoga, which I was deep into for a while. And yeah, I couldn't find
Yeah.
any like clear answer, but I kind of recognizing that yes, it's time to jump and to take a leap. And despite, like you said, right, it's challenging, it's unknown, but I know I have to do it.
For human design, also have a six line, just like the hexagrams, right? Then through that, we have 12 different profiles because it can be 1 5, it can be 1 4, all that combination. Six line with a two different profile. So you come out with 2 and 4. And if you can see that's a house, like two-story house with the 1 to 6 line. So the 1 to 3 line people, they are look like the foundation, the first floor people. But the three usually up and down the second floor and one floor and just want to see it all. They don't want to lose the fun. And but you are the two in the first floor, but two is the hermit wisdom. So in that way, you will like to have reflective time during your daily routine. You prefer to have me time so you can kind of calm down and reflect and observe things in the way. But then you got four, that is to go to the second flow. Four is very friendly person and like to interact with others and share and talk. So with that combination, you actually can observe people, and also through your identity and relatable experience, then you can share what you see in them. So I really appreciate what you
Oh,
do.
thank you. Wow, great. Yeah, sometimes I definitely fit into the two. Definitely the hermit. That is definitely my energy. And it's interesting about you. I always thought of four as a, like, it talks about as a network, like, well, getting a
Community,
new
yes.
network. And then I always not necessarily felt like I'm that person. But it's also fascinating you mentioned about how clients come to me gotten different things from me. It depends on who they are and what they ask. So I have clients
Mhm.
literally depending on their actually skill set and a natural skill set they don't even know they have, right? And it's a completely different track. It's that they would pull out of me based on what they actually need.
That means they might come in to ask for help. Then you can offer your innate wisdom right there. Just like a mountain, sit there and they come in to ask, right? So that's the hermit.
Yeah.
You just there. People can recognize your
Yeah.
talents in a way because you naturally just show up with who you are and say the truth. I can definitely see we need more and more people like you, and more people need help because just like you said, when the whole vibrations going up,
Mhm.
we live in the low vibe, the negativity so long. Now all of a sudden everything's so bright. Then we don't know how to deal with the when you get everything. See, oh, I see the dust here. Oh, I see there's something I try not to see, but now I don't think we have an option, right? We can only to clean,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think for cleaning, you definitely have a lot of good tools. Do you want to share one or two tools and you use to help your client?
Well, usually the very first tool that I share with people that they may not realize, especially for empaths who pick up energy from everywhere, from people, from
Yeah.
clients, right, from family. If you're not doing anything, even if you don't recognize, don't use all kinds of, you don't do any energy work, for example, the two things to do. First thing,
Mhm.
it's actually taking a salt bath. Now, a lot of empaths love to take baths, introverts, and but the key is not Epsom salt, which is what most people associate with
Mm,
relaxation. When we clear energy that we pick up literally from our energy fields, is actually kitchen salt, sea salt.
yeah.
And I'm talking about like a pound or two. And depending on how heavy you feel, you want more. And of course you can put Epsom salt for the muscle purposes, but for energy, this the aura, it's actually the substance closest to the salt water, and with the intentions of like really
Mm,
sending, and think of the crystals, salt as a crystal, which you can program and instruct. So you literally send out all the stuff that we picked up into the salt water, off it goes, and have it dissolve. You can put frankincense,
mhm.
essential oils, or lavender. So that's like a very fundamental without having a more energetic skill set, right? Anybody can jump in the bath and do it.
I love the way you talk about it. Just merge it with it and be gentle, right? Thank you for sharing this great tips. It's my honor to share your profile. It's amazing. In the activation sequence, the hologenetic profile, just think about like everything's a holograph, right? The universe is really a one, but then they have all these different fractals. Just like talk about the sacred geometries, everything is actually from the same source, but in order to manifesting a different way, you see it's like very complicated, but in the end it's the source, it's the same source, and we are the fractal. So when we is part of the holy graph, that means we actually represent the whole. But in order to differentiate us with all other amazing humans, we will have a profile, the particular profile on the time we are born, the imprinting from the solar system. So when that happens, we will have some kind of the number based on the sacred geometry, the hexagram is all 64 different things. The founder, Richard Rod, actually, he has downloading about how to put those number together. So then he followed the lead about there's a three sequences within that profile. So the first one is activation sequence. It's our doing and being. Actually, we all have all the loaded the purpose, higher purpose inside our DNA. It's just our life need to go into embody it. So that's activation sequence. Then Venus is the self relationship. That's spirituality because that's a connection with yourself. And they also have the imprinting process. That's 3 of the 7 year cycle. So the 0 to 7 imprinting, we just totally downloading and like sponge, right? Then from 7 to 14 is our emotional strategies, how we deal with the conflicts that also happen to our teenager years, right? So we have really like a rough teenager year for some because we don't know how to deal with our emotions. They're coming and going too strong sometimes. Then the third, the cycle is called the IQ. That's our intellect. So when we, 14 to 21, that's the time we start to think the career. Am I a smart guy or do I study hard enough? And what I'm gonna do is all this relate to the ego, intellect, knowledge side of the imprinting. So the Venus sequence actually lead us to go back and visit our past and make sure we are still aligned with who we are on the soul level. Then the last one is called Pearl. It's just like a glossy pearl, but we have to go through process to make it shine, right? So that Pearl sequence is more like we become certain way to help others, to serve others. And that is not because we have to, or it's because make more money. That can be part of it, but it's more like aligned with our soul.
Mhm.
Like this is make me happy. This make me feel like I can do it forever. Those kind of energy. Yeah. So today we're just going to talk about activation sequence, and that is your doing and being. And remember, this is just a tool. Everybody's different. It's not say you will have exactly like what the profile says, but give us that contemplation tools to see they have a three different level of consciousness. So on the lower, what you call defaults, is the shadow. We call it shadow frequency. That is defaults. Like we actually all born with that. We have to face our shadow and knowing this is not us, then we start to shift. So for the doing, we call evolution and the life work. Your life work is the 14. The 14 in the gene keys language, when you are in the low vibe, you will have the habit to compromise. Just like, yeah, when they say do this, you don't want it, but you don't want to causing the trouble, you say okay. So you will do compromising for a while, like maybe you go through whatever the career thing everybody does, then you try to follow them. Then you compromise your own soul because you're so talented and you're one of the innate things, you know who you are when you have a more confidence. So you start to maybe questions the challengings, and from the compromise you become competent, that you actually understand you don't need to fit in the box people put it for you, because you got the right skills, you got more confidence, so you can get out the box. So from that, then you will get to the points to have, just like you mentioned before, like an evolution. But in our own self discovery journey, evolution is not against ourselves, it's but love ourselves and accept ourselves better. So your evolution key is number 8. In the lovi is mediocrity, which means again you are afraid to be too shiny,
Mhm.
because you say, well, I try to fit in, and I don't want to be. Particularly, I'm not sure Hong Kong and Taiwan may be similar. For female, maybe it's not supposed to be that outgoing. So sometimes we are more like just hiding on the background, that kind of thing. But then you will find your own style. Why I have to keep that way? Right? I have my own unique way. I have something inside of me. I need to let it shine. So your evolution with your life work, and that's your doing in the past. I don't know, maybe before you start doing your own thing, the real things. Maybe when you're in the corporate, you're flow like that until you finally realize, I don't need to stay like this, right? So that's your doing part. You're 14 and 8.
Definitely have my fair share growing, of compromise. And it's interesting being in the field of consulting, right? It's you actually, it's that's the virtue is you learn to how to compromise to meet clients' needs. So that's definitely a lot of unlearning of how I can rise above that and to learn what are my needs versus just what is good for the other person. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, oh God, that's how we learn the
Mhm.
boundary, right? If we never compromise, we always just like my way is the
Mhm.
only way, then
Yeah.
we couldn't grow, right? We just burn all the bridges, right?
It's-
So we do need that. That's how the jink is really to say the shadow is not a
Mhm.
bad
Yeah.
thing. Shadow is really for us to realize we don't need to stay in the
Yeah.
shadow, right? Because think about how shadow is made, right? If we are in the middle and lights is on our back, that's how the shadow in the front. This just we choose to see the shadow.
Mhm.
So I think gene keys, at least for me, when I start to navigate this, I say I appreciate that different insights about
Mhm.
me.
When you say it's a doing, right? That's 14 and 8 are the doing.
Yeah, that's your doing key. So that means you will have challenges
Mhm.
between mediocrity and
Yeah.
compromising. But then once you allow you to get a little higher, the frequency, the consciousness, and then you shift to the 14th, the competence,
Mhm.
and the 8th on the gift level is the style.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you will have your own way
Mhm.
to navigate what you do, like your career.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like a lot of choices throughout life, even when I was a kid, everybody was doing piano and I was doing Chinese folk dancing. Well, everybody's do ballet and I'll be learning Chinese folk dancing, one out of 40 kids. So it's
Hmm.
gonna choose obviously the minority, the underdog, the esoteric, because that's what interests me. But at the same time, right, and have to have
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, I don't fit in, or how am I? Is actually not good enough at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. But that make us strong. Like we don't feel fit in, we feel distressed,
Mhm.
we
Yeah,
feel like but then we might feel we can give in a little bit, but then we feel that's
yeah.
even
But
worse.
because
Right? So follow our
yeah,
own
and all
truths.
the energy healing modalities that intrigue me and that I have studied, and they are very very rare and very like a lot less practitioners, and I found those actually has a lot more juice and a lot more interest
Mm.
access than a lot of the ones that actually and I eventually found out why I wasn't drawn to those things, even they're a lot more common or open. So there's definitely that theme there, trying to rise up over, creating the style from mediocrity.
Mm, mhm. Yeah, and the both key they all has the highest expression. We
Mhm.
call it city. That actually is our true
Mhm.
essence. So we are actually merged into the source, the light energy source. So for you, the 14, the highest is called bounteousness. That means you don't have any boundary. You compromise first, but then it's because you need to know your boundary.
Mm.
Then you can open the boundary,
Ah.
so you can become totally free.
Mm.
Mhm. So that's your highest expression for 14. And sometime in our life when we get mature and braver, because we need energy, we need the determination to visit our past.
Mhm.
Once the evolution actually give us to break through some barriers we set it to ourselves. So that finally we can get to see and feeling about our beingness, because we are busy all the
Mm.
time, right? We have a labels. people will call you this, that. So you're always doing something. But sooner or later, we will like to learn about beingness. Like if I don't do anything, I don't have any title, I don't even have a body or emotion, and who I am, right? That's the beingness. Right? So, but the gene key give us little hints because it's still no one can define us. It's just the number to give us a little contemplation tool, so we can step into the highest city frequency. So for you, this is the very interesting pair. It's water. 29 is a double water. In ancient I Ching or ancient Chinese, water mean trouble.
Mm.
Think about like Yellow River, right?
Mhm.
They come, go, they will have a lot of floods, right? So if the water not using wisely, or you try to block it without let it go through, that will create a lot the conflicts, right? So your radiance key, that is the first of the beingness, is 29. That's double water, but you know that's a 6 hexagram. So in the astrology, the first 3 bar in like indicate you're 30 years or younger, and the 40 to 6 is like going at the midlife. So the first 30 years for 29, people will have experience about the half heartedness. That means you might not knowing where to do, what to do. So you will have some journey to figure out what make me happy, what made me feel free, and what is really I love to do more without, even don't need to get paid, because beingness, you really don't need anything. You just experience it. So you're 29 for that kind of the energy, found this half-heartedness because you're not
Mhm.
sure, right? But then, of course, when you get moved to higher level, you start to have commitments, something you really know this is what I need to do. So that you will stay in the commitments for your radiance. Radiance is something make you healthy. Even double water, you can swim in the
Mm.
water and still have fun. So that is your first, the radiance. And the second related to your beingness is the purpose. Think about, a lot of people say like purpose, I'm here to do, my purpose to be a teacher, my purpose to be somebody, right? We always have some kind of label for the purpose. But based on really the ancient wisdom, the purpose is not defined until we live through it. We cannot choose a purpose. We have to live through it and realize the
Mm.
purpose. And so that's how it's a beingness. It's no way you can make it that as your purpose, because you always change the mind. It's like we have energy coming and going. We say, oh, at 20 something, I want to do this, but 30 something, you want to do that, right? You always change in your roles and function, but the deeper, higher purpose based on the gene keys is in the being. So that purpose key is, or say, is predefined if we understand who we are and also clean out all the junk, we don't need to have anymore. Then the purpose will show up. Purpose will come to find us. So in your case, it's double fire. So in the low vibe, is the desire. Desire, not a bad thing. We do need motivation to take action, right? So that's some form of desire. But desire can be dangerous if we're not knowing, then they become fire, can burn uncontrolled. In the lower vibe, we do have a desire, but we need to clear about the intention. Like why we do this. We need to have a bigger reason than ourselves to make it worthwhile, right? And so when you navigate that desire, like heaviness desire, right? And become lightness,
Mm.
just like I just enjoy doing that. Keep shining your lights, right? The fire is also the light. And you keep shining your light, but you feel you're not that heavy anymore. You just flow with your talents. That's the purpose coming in, because purpose
Mm.
finds you. Then once you know that make you happy and healthy, and you love to do it without asking anything in return, then through that navigation, your fire in the lower trigram really just burns you through the desire and find out exactly what you want to do. Then the 4 to 6, you become a
Mm.
lighthouse because you still keeping burning your lights, but the lights is not burning you, it's not burning others, but you light up a path for whoever need your help. Your
Wow.
purpose.
Very interesting way. This is the first time I hear it that way. That's amazing.
Well, that's your amazing profile. It's a water, and because like water, and I believe you learn that water and fire is so important in our
Yeah.
harmony in our body, right? If we know how to do manage the both, so that's your beingness, your innate understanding this. So to put it together, amazingly, you are coming here to put your gentle style, 2-4 is really the hermits and also community friendly. Then your projector, so you can see others and you can relate to their journey. That then in the way you absorb it, but then you also learn how to navigate your own water and fire balance. Then we're lucky to have you to serve.
Thank you. I hope that I can do through my work, my own personal work, and get to the city, expressing the gifts.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Well, we all have a great potential if we choose
Mm.
to do. But sometimes it's just like the time we are born, like we all volunteer to be born in this time. So we can definitely do our best. And who knows, when the background energy go up enough, we can really become
Mm.
city.
Mhm.
We as long as we don't block it and we as long as we keep cleaning,
Yeah.
right? So we don't trapped in the shadow. We can see the
Yeah.
lights.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of the energy work, because there's a lot of people are doing personal work, right? Personal development, whether it's dealing with emotions, dealing with trauma, to things that they know that happens in this life and how they show up in life, that not getting what they want from a human level. And love the work that my personal work that I deal with, and it's ties into older stories that we carry
Mhm.
and older
Yeah,
other
yeah.
lives inherited from, may not even from this planet, and ties, and some of them are not ours, that we definitely carry. So there's a different
Mhm. Mhm.
layers of how we are influenced
Yeah.
and how they show up in our current reality, and all that needs to be worked through
Yes.
when they show
Yeah.
up.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Well, I'm so happy to have you and share your wisdom and insights. And I wonder if someone want to find you, how
Yeah, my
connect with you.
website, it's glendyyeung.com, and my Instagram, I'm on Instagram as well as on Glendy Yeung. I also have a
Hmm.
YouTube channel that I'm not super active, but there are healing, daily clearing that you can listen to, cleanses,
Mm.
healing that you can listen to use it as in conjunctions with when you're in the bath, for example, right, so that you can get deeper energy work that at the same time to go
Yes.
to dig deeper to do the cleaning that we might need to restore our own energy and restore our boundaries.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I thank you so very much to shining your lights continuously, even in the deep water, or maybe take the bath, just think about the good way.
Right? Yeah.
But you can keep your fire still coming through and let us to see the past. Like we all need more lighthouses. So I really appreciate your work.
Thank you. And it's interesting, you fire, like lately I work with more fire as a transmutation, as the energy to transform at a high level. So yeah, I think
Right.
that's what we're each of us on our journey to do that.
Yes, right. Thank you so
Thank you.
very
Thank
much,
you so much
Glendy.
that you shared this
And
with me. Amazing.
that's my honor to read all the people's profile because every time I see it, say, wow, they need to know that. Like everybody is just so powerful. And think about if we all united with our authenticity, no one can stop us. We are the bounteousness,
Yeah.
just like you, like your life work.
Yeah.
So, right. I appreciate you and we'll see you
Thank you so
around.
much.
Take care. Bye bye.